GameCast Continuum.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to GameCast Continuum. Thanks so much for tuning in live here on Mixer, watching us on YouTube, or listening to on Podbean or iTunes. We are your hosts, DC Skater Shane
Mr. Bojangles, 1984.
and
Drake Dangerson, Hadouken.
here at GameCast Continuum, we randomly select some of the greatest games, past and present, and go into their history into detail. But before we dive into the fun, let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping. We do this podcast live Sunday nights over at mixer.com/gamecastcontinuum. And the best way to keep up to date, though, with the show is to give us a follow on Twitter at GCContinuum. We'll tweet out changes in schedule, as well as when the episodes go live and what the next episode will be. But, enough of all the boring stuff. Without further ado, this week we're going deep into Street Fighter V.
Real deep.
Hadouken!
We're gonna milk that prostate.
Tex-Mex Ryuken. That's what it sounds like he's saying to me. Alrighty then. Sorry.
Anyways, now that you're balls deep already, I don't know, Street Fighter V, amongst a lot of the other fighting games at the time, well, with the rest of their series also, was developed by Capcom, who did Resident Evil, Mega Man, Power Stone, and the Devil May Cry series. All pretty damn good series of games. Really.
Yeah, especially
pretty
the
decent.
hidden gem of Power Stone. That game was fucking awesome.
I think I played that once.
Yeah. I think it's everybody's case. They saw it at a fucking Babbage's or something at the mall. They played it and they were like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" And then nobody bought a Dreamcast.
No, I think I had it on a demo disc on my Dreamcast.
Yep, there you go.
But it was also developed by Dimps, who did Dragon Ball Z Budokai. Both, I'm assuming both games.
They did them all. All
They did
the
all.
Budokai games. Yeah.
There's only
I thought there was three. I think there
Maybe
was three of them.
Sonic Advance, as well as Street Fighter X Tekken.
That game was a pain in the fucking dick.
Never played
But
it.
It was really awesome to do the 2D Tekken stuff. It was actually pretty. It was really well done. So kudos to them on that game. But it was still hard as shit.
I could see it. Capcom also published it, and then back in February of 2016, not too long ago, so we're staying fairly recent, it came out on Windows and PS4, which is kind of odd. I know.
Yeah, no Xbox One support here. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a reason why they made it exclusive to only PS4, though.
But we'll
really?
get to that later, probably.
Yeah. That's in our behind the scenes section.
Ooh,
Behind the curtain. It's our VH1's behind the music.
behind the curtain.
Yeah. Hopefully a little more entertaining, though.
So, in case you were born in a cave, this is a side-scrolling fighting game. It's been that way for a while, except for that awkward time with the PS2. It had the weird 3D Street Fighter, which we're not going to talk about. It was pretty bad. I'm sure people have fond memories of it, but I do not. It's like showering in gym class. Moving on. It has the X gauge, which has been kind of a staple forever. I think it was around Super Street Fighter 2 when that kind of came in.
Yeah.
Allows you to do super combos known as critical arts, although the focus attacks from the previous games have been removed. So they removed something from 4, which probably wasn't a bad idea. The V gauge is new to this game. Allows for 3 new techniques. The V skills, they're unique to each fighter. Ryu can do a parry attack, and Bison can reflect projectiles. I mean, that could be useful, especially for Bison. Reflect projectiles, but these are probably skills that you, the pros can pull off in 3 seconds, but you
Yeah.
know, you jump on the game for the first time, it's going to take some practice.
That's
If
the
it's
best.
successful, depending on the attack, can actually fill up the V gauge again, which those pros probably just their fucking pants over.
Mm-hmm.
There's V reversals. Uses the V gauge to perform a counter move. So no surprise there. You got V triggers. Triggered. It's uses the whole V gauge to perform some type of unique ability. I guess this could kind of be considered like a semi super attack as well. Like Ryu can throw some energy balls.
Somewhat.
He probably throws some at Chun-Li, or it's added to some of Chun-Li's attacks. Um, the last thing they added was a stun meter, which has been around since Street Fighter 3, which probably nobody played. I think I've seen that in one arcade. I tried to play it and I was terrible. Um, if you get hit with like consecutive attacks, the stun meter fills and you become stunned, which the little like birdies fly around your head and everything, which is cool
Yep.
because I always like when I was playing Street Fighter 2, I would never know when the hell I would start the stun or I was going to stun somebody. So this gives you a visual representation of when you're going to get stunned or when you know stunning happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit on a rant there. Features interactive arenas, which means you can, throw crates at people, do things like that. Which is like fine. Street Fighter's always had kind of those interactive type of levels. You always see shit happening in the background and stuff. But this time you can actually utilize some of it.
Not as
Um,
much though. I mean, it's not
yeah,
as much as a lot of the
combat.
Mortal Kombat ones
Yeah.
do. Because even with the like the special animations where like if you kill them near the edge of the arena,
Mhm.
it's very finicky. Like I've had it happen a couple times where I think I was in India or some shit, and I kicked somebody into an elephant, and he got thrown around by the elephants. Kind of neat, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if all the stages have it or not. I haven't.
To my knowledge, I mean, I haven't played 5 yet. Spoiler alert. But I know on a lot of them, it was kind of hit or miss when it came to like some of the stage stuff. But the elephants have always been there and they have always been hitting you. So that's like 20 years old. So those elephants are probably pissed at this point. Um, expert players mastered the ability to chain regular combos with the X versions of the characters. Big surprise there. This is really cool shit to watch. If you're watching like some of the Twitch stuff, I actually like watching fighting games on Twitch. So like watching them pull this shit off is, it just kind of amazes me how like, how they move compared to like how I do it. Because it's probably like, watching a NASCAR driver compared to like a 60-year-old man driving.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yep.
E-League had a tournament recently too that aired
Mhm.
on TBS. The finals were just crazy. Like the combos that they can pull off. Then they activate their V trigger and they use the EX like extra special moves for their characters, and like their health bars just disappear sometimes. It's incredible.
I just press buttons.
It'd, yeah, it'd be like me and Peyton Manning standing side by side throwing footballs. I'd be complaining about how my right shoulder hurts after like the fourth one. Meanwhile, he's throwing it like 70 yards downfield, and it's like, whatever, your forehead's large. Get out of here. I'm leaving. Bye. Um, I had a bunch of game modes when it came out.
No,
One of
not
it's
right when
character
it came out.
story. Well, yeah, well, spoiler alert. Not when it came out, but right around when it finally normalized.
Yeah.
It had a character story mode, which you do like these battles. It's very similar. If you've played like the Mortal Kombat series recently, it's very similar. You play a few matches with a guy within the story mode. They tell a story. They had a story expansion called Shadows Fall. By the way, it's an awesome metal band too. Um, it includes all the fighters released and then some of the extra fighters that came in. It had a higher difficulty mode called Extra Mode, so there's that.
Nope.
Yeah. And you get rewarded with money, so there's nothing bad about that. You had training mode, which you could practice all your stuff. This is probably what like the pros do, like constantly. They don't even go online like between like events. They just sit in training mode trying to figure out how to do combos and stuff.
Yep.
There was a survival mode, It's where you battle a number of battles in an attempt to gain a high score. As you win battles, you get more points. You know, yada yada yada. It's basically the same survival mode as in any other game.
I loved
You know,
survival mode and like the Tekken games and stuff. That's one of my favorites.
yeah. See how far you can get before you throw your fucking controller.
Yeah, essentially.
Japungi, you motherfucker. Um, they had a bunch of online modes too. There's ranked matches for you tryhards out there. Which means you, yeah, a lot of people shake their head.
Nope.
This is basically the bane of like existence of some of the games. This is skilled, or yeah, this is skill-based matchmaking. So good luck there.
Yep.
Yeah. You
So
get
I'll
the
be playing against infants. It's fine.
Oh yeah, man, that's the best part. I tried it, I tried it on just like an open one on Mortal Kombat, and I couldn't get a hit on him. I'm an idiot for even trying. Um, Capcom Fighters Network, which was a network, specifically this lets you see scoreboards, leaderboards, replays, on the players who you've got an eye on. So if you're like, Street Fighter stalking somebody, you can see what they're doing. Um, it's great for learning about the game while you're not playing it, so you can, watch some of the pros do some of their
Creep
stuff. Or
on
like
people.
somebody who's ranked near you and see how they play. You can scout on them, like you're playing football or something.
Or just sit in the
Um,
bushes and watch them.
with my whiskey. Um, almost got you. Um, you have battle settings. This helps you establish your favorite fighter, favorite venue, before actually going into your online arena. So if you like Chun-Li and want to play in her stage, things like that, you'll have a 50-50 shot of doing it when you battle somebody.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is actually cool. I don't know what the, there's stage doesn't really like give you any advantages, which would actually be a cool feature if the stages actually like a bonus or something like that. But since they don't, it's just like, hey, I like this stage better than yours. There's casual matches where, whatever. I'll play whoever comes in here, and then you get your ass stomped for a few minutes, and you're like, okay, never mind.
Training mode it is.
Back to training mode. You have the battle lounge. This is basically you could set up a lobby, and you get you can set up the rounds, amount of time, how many wins per victory. This is like a private match.
That's pretty neat though.
Yeah,
It is pretty
essentially like a custom game lobby.
Mm-hmm. You can do up to 8 people manner your lounge. So, you're sitting on your couch and you can have 7 other people looking at you looking to whoop your ass.
No thanks.
Yeah. But guys, I'm on a futon.
I've seen some Twitch streamers have lobbies open. They have like 6 people in there. They all just take turns beating each other up. It's entertaining.
Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I think, yeah, like I said before, I actually love watching these fight things. So once in a while I'll pop on Twitch to watch, Street Fighter, Tekken, or Mortal Kombat. It's really interesting. If anybody out there has like a chance and is like, well, I don't really like fighting games, give Twitch a try. Just look at some of those fighting games. It can be rather exhilarating, especially when Evo comes around.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that we're promoting Twitch, being that we're streaming on Mixer, but Mixer has some catching up to do as far as the competitive fighting games and shooters that they stream live for people to watch. So if you're looking for it, Twitch is the place for now. Yeah, the Street Fighter V did have a story that they eventually put into the game. It took place on planet Earth and Shadaloo Base? Shadaloo?
For all the people that watched the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, oh my god.
Well,
that movie was hard to watch.
When we get to M. Bison, I'll do my little Street Fighter movie memory.
Ooh.
Okay. And with any fighting game, the whole meat and potatoes is basically the characters, and Street Fighter V definitely has a lot of characters now for you to choose from. They're in alphabetical order, so we get the hairy beast of a man himself, Akuma, first.
So cool.
I love Akuma. He's such a badass. But he had his fighting style of and Satsuken, which is rooted in the indigenous arts of karate and Shorinji Kempo. He was first introduced in the Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and he was actually a hidden, unnamed character at that point. But in Street Fighter 4, the arcade edition, he was in the game, and his name was Oni, which is kind of strange. I don't actually remember that about Akuma. Because like when I first heard about Akuma, like I knew him as Akuma.
Yeah, I remember him in like when he was introduced in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo as well. It was like the one guy that could like jump in the air and do a projectile, and at the time, like no game had that, and my mind was just blown that this guy. I was like, how do you defend it?
But yeah, in Street Fighter 4, the arcade edition, in order to become Oni, Akuma became one with the Satsui no Hado, and he appeared as a larger and more muscular version of Akuma himself. He had blue skin, glowing yellow and red eyes, kind of like the Super Saiyans do in Dragon Ball Z.
Probably larger than 9,000.
Yeah, his muscle mass was probably over 9,000. However, the normal Akuma had his dark skin, red hair, and glowing red eyes, because that's the true sign of a badass.
Which he is.
And he does wear prayer beads. He's a religious dude, apparently.
I thought they were for other things, but
I did too.
Beads.
You know, you're not the only one, Drake. His name actually translates in Japanese to devil or demon, which is kind of odd that he wears prayer beads, but is a demon. Anyway, after Akuma, we get Alex, who used wrestling and boxing as his fighting style. He made his first appearance in Street Fighter 3. He came back for Street Fighter 5, although the events of 5 take place before Street Fighter 3.
Yeah. 3 is like this, that weird game that they like put way in the future. So like they're filling in between 4 and they're filling in between 3 with 4, 5, and probably even 6.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to wait to see where they go with the story in the next installment.
Yeah.
Evidently, Alex had a lot of inspiration. Well, they pulled a lot of inspiration from Hulk Hogan and Axl Rose, who he's loosely based off of. He's a professional wrestler. He wears red suspenders. He rocks shorter hair than he had in Street Fighter 3 and has a red and white long sleeve flannel shirt.
And might I say his firefighting outfit is is rather risque.
With his red suspenders and nothing else.
Yeah. That would have been actually better.
Yeah. Keep going down the alphabetical list here is Balrog, who's a boxer. He first appeared in Street Fighter 2. He's an African-American boxer. He's got blue trunks, white trim, and a torn tank top. And in Japan, Balrog was originally named M. Bison for his similarities to Mike Tyson. But when they localized the game, also due to it being so close to the famed boxer, they rotated some names around, which Drake touched on as well.
Well, and he's the only one too without any actual kick attacks too. Everybody else, and I mean,
every kick button is a punch.
Yeah,
yep,
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it's different.
I do like that about his character. It differentiates him from other characters outside of just his appearance, obviously, and his name. That's pretty neat.
And this one, he actually wears like a hoodie with like like I think like the sleeves cut off. He actually looks like a a training boxer. Where in like the second one, for some reason he had a shirt and trunks on.
He's also got big gold chains in this one too, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. After Mr. Balrog, you got this guy is just strange looking to me, Birdie.
Yep.
Like he's just an odd
British.
duck. He's just a straight up wrestler and brawler, and his look is just weird to me, but
he's one of the oldest characters in the whole game too.
Like, yeah, I know. He appeared in the original Street Fighter. He was a 1970s tall white British punk rocker. But in the Street Fighter Alpha series, he reappeared as a hulking black British punk. Like what? I don't know why they decided to change the design of the character that much. Um, but
It
he
only
did
gets
answer the
better.
call for Street Fighter Five. What was that, DC? I'm sorry.
I said it gets better with him changing though. As
Yeah,
far as character appearance.
yeah. He put on a bit of weight, and his special moves involve eating as well as throwing food at his opponents. If that tells you anything about him as a character. Um, Now we're getting into some of the female characters with Cammy. She is a Shadaloo assassination or Shadaloo assassin, and she also uses special force combative elements in her fighting. Jesus Christ, I'm struggling tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Uh, she debuted in '93 in Super Street Fighter 2. She was the second female added into the series. Her classic appearance is the green thong leotard with the red beret, with red gloves and black boots.
It's good for fighting. It allows a lot of freedom for the legs.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to worry about getting caught on your garments or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
when I get into my fights in these parking lot garages, I wear the same costume. Minus the beret, because I don't want to, yeah, I don't need that.
You scare people away with your attire.
Yeah.
Fight's
I
over
think
before it starts.
I don't want them to think I'm a pansy by wearing that beret, so just saying.
yeah, the thong leotard definitely doesn't make them have that thought.
More respect for me.
Not only was Cammy in the Special Forces, though, she was also a former MI6 agent as well. So she's definitely deadly.
Yeah, she might even have a 007 or a 00.
Maybe. But then we get to Chun-Li, who has legs O speed. She practices Chinese Kempo. She was the first female in the Street Fighter series and first appeared in Street Fighter 2 World Warrior, which was in 1991. She's an expert martial artist, and her story is based on revenge against the villainous M. Bison, because, he murdered her father and all. She's widely considered a trailblazer for female characters in the fighting genre. If you define trailblazer as in a female who wears barely any clothing in a fighting game.
Well, I mean, it is part of the course. There's plenty that came after her.
Yeah, there certainly was. Her dress is the blue. What is that? Kapow? Kipow?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an early 20th
Kapow!
century Chinese dress. Hers has golden accents, puffy sleeves, white wristbands. Yeah, and she has white combat boots and stuff. There's a picture of her on the stream right now, or in the video, so you
She
get a
also has
glimpse
those
of her.
cool spiked bracelets.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what costume you put her in.
Yeah. I remember in Alpha she had the blue costume, which kind of threw me off. I was like, "Hey, wait, she doesn't have the same one as before." I think that was like derived from like her cop like uniform.
Yeah, possibly. This guy freaked me out so much when I was younger playing these games. Dalsim, just the fact that he can stretch his arms and legs like that. I don't know. I never had a stretch Armstrong, so I wasn't really a part of that bandwagon. So, but his fighting style is just simply the mysteries of the yoga. That's it. He's a yoga master, and he kicks your ass with it. But like many others in the game, he made his first appearance in Street Fighter 2 World Warrior. He's a yogi as well as a pacifist. He went against his beliefs when he entered the tournament. However, he wanted to win so he could raise money for his village. So, sometimes you got to go against your inner instincts to better your people as a
Feed
whole.
elephants.
Yeah, and you got to feed the elephants too, right? So,
Right. Like very Ong Bakish of him.
Dalcyon himself, he looks like an average fit man, except his waist is way out of proportion, and kind of gives him the impression that he just doesn't eat. You know, he traditionally wears a saffron-colored shorts. They appear to be torn, matching wrist and ankle beads. He's got a necklace made of shrunken human skulls, so I should put a little bit of fear in you there. And lastly, with him, his yoga-based fighting style allows him to stretch his limbs for his attacks, and he used a variety of fire-based attacks as well, which I've always liked his fire attacks. I thought they were kind of neat. His yoga flame.
I didn't like when they used to, spam the one
The
that went
yoga
across the
fire.
screen. Yeah, the yoga fire. I
Yeah,
get so mad.
yeah. Well, the guy could hit you from across the screen just but with his regular attacks too. So
Mm-hmm.
you add that
And he
on
had
top
a
of it.
teleport attack. He was like the perfect fighter.
Yeah. And then we get to Mr. Ed Norton, or just Ed. He's got an unknown fighting style. He debuted in Street Fighter V, as a fighter, but he first appeared as a child during Balrog's ending in Street Fighter IV. Balrog believes Ed's ability to challenge the psycho power that Bison has, and could be wait. Balrog believes Ed's ability to challenge the psycho power like Bison could be useful, so he ended up bringing him. Not a whole lot of information on Ed.
There's
Oh.
yeah.
I
And
saw
even
like a video on him, and he's a fucking beast.
there's even like throughout the game, there's really not a lot with him.
Yeah, they dropped the ball in a few aspects as far as story and characters and stuff.
Well, he's a DLC character, I think, or he's like they just released.
He just recently got added, not that long ago. Then you got Fang, Fang. He's a Chinese Kempo fighter. He's another character who debuted in this game. He's an assassin and a sole survivor from the, oh my god, New Hao cartel. He usually uses mainly poison to attack his foes. He first resisted Bison, but then he ended up, searing unyielding loyalty to the man after he discovered the extent of his power. And Fang, he's a weird dude, man.
He's weird, but he's powerful though. I mean, from what you see, I mean, you see a little bit of him throughout the story, and he does some fucked up shit to people.
His critical art is it's freaking hilarious looking.
Like at one point in one of the cutscenes, he actually just like touches a guy, and the guy just fucking turns to powder. Like, oh,
like the movie.
Yep. He touches him. There's just a DVD on the floor.
He becomes a white-skinned guy with psychic powers.
Yep. No, he's very like. I almost want to say whimsical.
He's whimsical.
Based on this series, it's not a surprise that they bring in a new character that was very whimsical.
Like whenever you see him, even though he's a bad guy, he's kind of very like floaty in his movements and just kind of he's out there.
He's a warlock.
Basically.
Wrong game. I am sorry. Well, the next fighter on our delicious list here is Guile, as some of you may know him. Bane to my existence. He is steeped in the Marine Corps martial arts program. Taekwondo infused with pro wrestling techniques. It's probably where he gets that cool upside down kick and then hits you with a German.
Yep.
And then another German.
Yep.
Guile debuted as one of the original 8 on Street Fighter 2. He's portrayed as a major in the United States Air Force, which is funny because he's taking Marine Corps martial arts. He's seeking revenge, like a few others, against M. Bison, as he had killed his friend in the Air Force, Charlie. And in the movie, Charlie ended up being Blanca, but not in this game. This is not part of that story. And I'm talking about like the live action movie. Oh, we'll get to that in here in a second. Early sketches and notes about Guile suggest that he was designed to appeal to the American fans with his cool United States fucking tattoo on his arm and his cool haircut. His outfit definitely portrays that he's a classic, as he has the military fatigues. And he has a flat top haircut, but like I don't know anybody's haircut that goes out like this.
They really pushed it to the extreme in Street Fighter V, I feel, as far as his haircut.
Oh yeah.
It's getting out there. Eventually,
Yeah.
his whole character is just gonna be the flat top haircut. Maybe it's like slowly taking him over, like the clown makeup on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Maybe.
All right, next. If anybody gets that, let me know. We have Ibuki. She's a sweet little ninja from Street Fighter 3. She was I remember I think I picked her like as one of the few other characters that I played in that game, and from what I remember, she was awesome.
She's quick.
She is really quick, and I tend to like those characters.
Yeah.
She's from an ancient ninja clan, which all ninjas are apparently. She was with Ryu Hayabusa at the same time. She'd rather live a normal life though, which is cool. I mean, she's like, oh, I don't want to be a ninja anymore. Oh, I'm gonna fight. When she was originally created, she was made to be a boy, but they swapped the gender. Not sure what the meaning of that was. Probably just because they were like, hey, we got too many guys in this game. Let's change one of these. And
Yeah, probably just not enough female characters.
Yep. Consistent of a ninja doji with a sleeveless shirt, baggy pants, arm guards. In the game though, she has a modified schoolgirl's outfit. No way. And a black mask. Next we have God. She is she was my favorite person to use on Street Fighter X Tekken. It was Yuri or Yuri.
Yuri.
Sounds like a Russian guy. She performs the Taekwondo arts, which was fun fighting Horong since they both had the same fighting arts. She appeared in Street Fighter 4 and is a South Korean Taekwondo fighter who was employed by Sin, later by Cobra. She's an underling of Seth who was the main bad guy in Street Fighter 4. She went through quite a few designs, about 400 to 500. So the final concept for the character intended to be someone who was bad and somewhat erotic. I guess she has a robot eye too. Her shirt was modeled after a spider that had left the sides of her breasts exposed. That's my side boob. And the pants were designed to give a silhouette that looked like a taekwondo uniform. So she had like the baggy, kind of like baggy pants. We have Karen. She debuted in Street Fighter Alpha 3. That was the alpha I didn't get to play. And was the only daughter of a wealthy corporate family. She calls everyone around commoners, which I do the same thing, so I understand it. Her family motto is be the winner of everything. She also fights with the Kenzuki Ryu fighting style, and I think she was a rival of Sakura, who was a fighter from like those early games. She was like the girl in the schoolgirl outfit that did all of Ken and Ryu's moves. Ken, he's our white bread blonde fighter. Shotokan style karate. Always appears kind of like the smart ass to Ryu's serious guy.
Yep.
He's been in every Street Fighter game with his buddy Ryu. He was created as a palette swap of Ryu, to appeal to the American market. He has an iconic appearance. His are less ragged than Ryu's, but he has the full gi, blonde hair, sleeveless red, with a black belt. This game was the first major overhaul of the character, having his gi top hanging around his waist and is seen wearing a V-neck training shirt with black gloves and ankle wraps. Good lord, my
Mm-hmm.
my how the mighty have fallen. We got Colleen. This is a pretty new character here. She made an appearance in Street Fighter 3, but this is the first time you can actually play as her. Her fighting styles Sistema, ice, and knife hand strikes. So she likes to Ric Flair chop you apparently with ice.
Woo!
I don't know. Have you played as her yet? DC?
A little bit.
She's
kind of slow.
Okay.
Her ice attacks can be pretty useful to zone people out and stuff.
Well, she helped out Gil in Street Fighter 3, who was the main bad guy in that one. Goes by the name Helen in the game, and then you realize that it's Pauline. You got Laura. Very oh, I remember Laura. Okay.
Yeah.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Um, not much can be found of Laura except for the fact that she's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, and I believe that she's related to the main character of Street Fighter 3, but off the top of my head, I don't remember his name. He wore a gi similar to Ken and Ryu, I think. Um,
Laura's a pretty popular pick for the pro players too.
yeah, just like the Eddie Gordo of Street Fighter, except capoeira. Next we have M Bison. Uh, fun story. He's been the villain. He's basically been the either the top villain or a reoccurring villain in the series since Street Fighter 2. Also in the movie, he has the most badass like quote for a character in a really shitty movie. Um, he's talking to Chun Li. He has her like he's caught her and has her captive. Um, for for you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life, but for me, it was Tuesday. Bison, you fucking savage. Um, he uh he uses Ledrit, which is the psycho power infused style, which makes his fists glow, not like the movie The Last Dragon. Um, inherently wields evil energy called psycho power, and in Japan he was Vega, but that was changed in America and in the American version to appease the M Bison thing with Balrog. His outfits have not changed over years. He still looks like a fascist.
Yep.
Yep.
Straight out of Hitler Youth. We have Nash. Um, this is Charlie Nash. We spoke of him earlier. Charlie Nash was first mentioned in Street Fighter 2: The World Warrior as Guile's friend who was murdered by M Bison. But the first time you saw him was in Street Fighter Alpha. I remember playing as him and was like, who's this shitty version of Guile who I already didn't like? He was a member of the U.S. Air Force and with a similar fighting style to Guile. He has the Sonic Boom and Somersault kick. The thing about his Sonic Boom though is he throws it with one arm instead of the two arms, so it kind of makes Guile look like a bitch.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I gotta use two arms. Well, Charlie's just like, well, fuck it, I'll just use
Just
one.
throw it.
Yeah, I'll just throw it. He was revived by Colleen, but has a limited lifespan, which is kind of funny because don't we all? He sacrifices his life to help kill Bison by absorbing as much psycho power as he could, which in turn weakened Bison, enabling Ryu to finish him off. Which was cool because I hope Ryu finished him off with a dragon punch that knocked his head off, making for our final Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter game.
Well, when he's revived too, he's got like all kinds of like he's all stitched up and like half of him, like part of him, his one arm's green. There's like half of his face is fucking like green.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's interesting looking to say the least.
Well, definitely not getting the chicks because he sounds ugly as fuck.
Oh, he's fucking terrible looking. But I mean, moving forward, talking about weird looking people, we have Nikali, who is a new addition to the Street Fighter franchise. And basically he's this Aztec fighting god who really descends to challenge the strongest fighters. And if he defeats them, he devours their souls. He almost
sounds like Ogre from Tekken 3.
He weirdly enough, his appearance kind of reminds me of Blanca in a way.
Does he have electricity moves?
Kind of.
No, it's just just like appearance wise, with kind of the big like he's kind of hunched over in a way, and he's got like the real long like sort of hair. And then
He
beyond
looks
him,
absolutely insane when you activate the V trigger with him.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah.
terrifying.
His hair gets all like fucking bright red and flowy, and he just looks menacing.
It's one of the few when you actually activate it that they really change appearances. Like a lot of them just kind of have some sort of little animation when they activate it, and he completely goes fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, and when he
awesome.
And like throughout too, like when he appears like in the story here and there, he kind of just will like you'll see the ground almost like bubbling up first, and then he just like appears out of the sky almost. Yeah,
Huh.
it's something. Um, but after him, we have Armika, who is a pro wrestler, who came around in Street Fighter Alpha 3 and made her return back in this game. But apparently, see, from the designers, they actually, I guess, from what I was reading a little bit, they liked her quite a bit, but she got a lot of mixed reactions based on gameplay as well as her design. She's very grappling based and pretty much wore a big blue and white leotard with a white mask, and then she's got a heart shaped hole
It's a boob window.
or a heart shaped boob window. There you go.
Yep.
But aside from her, new to this game also is Rashid, who's a parkour style fighter, and he's Middle Eastern, and he's looking for his missing friend, who is an engineer for Sin, and he's very obsessed with technology. So he's been able to create small tornadoes, and he became known as Rashid of the Turbulent Wind. He's pretty.
I
neat.
like him.
He's
I like
neat.
him. Yeah.
He's pretty quick too, which is nice. I'm kind of in the same boat as you are with the faster characters.
Yeah. It's just so much fun to use them.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Although with some of the slower characters, it's kind of rewarding too when you get like the big attack on somebody though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
kinda-
Akuma.
yeah.
He deals so much damage, but his health is so his health pool is so small. So like the slower, more powerful characters can get melted a lot easier than like the quicker characters, which I think is a pretty cool way to balance them out. Like the quicker characters don't deal as much damage and they don't take as much in a way.
Yeah, they had a luchador character on the fourth one that was, he was super quick, but it took it took a lot to actually do some major damage.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Ryu or Ryu, however you prefer.
Ryu, you savage.
Yeah,
You're a
don't be
savage.
ooh, it's Ryu.
Who is the Shotokan karate fighter, and it's basically the lead of the series. I mean, when you think of Street Fighter, who's the first person you think of?
Ken.
Get out.
No, Ryu, you're right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, pretty much.
but he wears, the tattered white gi that the sleeves are torn off, and his red training gloves and slippers. He's looked at though as in the Street Fighter series as a beginner character because a lot of his early on his easier combos are pretty simple to perform, but he's good to get started, but he's difficult to master. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like a lot of his like his combos were really easy to pull off. You just do a forward jump into like a light punch and then a bunch of shit after that, and you got yourself a homemade combo.
And he actually also possesses the Setsui no Hado, which is also known as the Evil Intent, which throughout this story, and you kind of see it, he's kind of battling with it throughout, basically keeping it at bay, more or less, which is kind of interesting, I thought.
You should just let it out. Evil Ryu is so much fun to play as.
Oh, he is.
But anyway, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, moving forward, we have Urian, no fighting style. Well, it's unknown at least. First appeared in Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, Gil's younger brother, and he's kind of an asshole from what I've been gathering. Shares many traits with Gil, but he wants to eliminate him permanently. And he went as far as destroying the preservation facility that Gil was recovering in.
Yeah.
Pretty much, he kept sort of getting the shit end of the stick that, he wants power, and whenever he would move up in a position of power, Gil somehow managed to get a higher position.
It doesn't help his cause that he. I remember in the third one, the first time I saw Urian, he was wearing this fucking gnarly ass, like, he had no clothes on except for this really skimpy fucking white speedo. And I was just like, oh, look at this man. I'd like to put some oil on that. But yeah. And by the way, yes, you can get that outfit in this one. So I know you have the game DC, so have at it.
New favorite character, done.
Done.
Next up on the list of fighters, we have Vega, who's a Spanish ninjutsu fighter, also known as Claw, and he came around in Street Fighter 2 and is one of the few characters to actually wield a weapon as well. He's a narcissistic asshole.
Yeah, he's a prick.
Yep.
You know, considers himself the epitome of beauty and perfection. But the only reason he wears the mask that he does is because he wants to protect his face. Which throughout, I mean, I can't remember if in the older ones or not, because I obviously haven't played those in as long. But could you knock off the mask and shit like that?
I think you can knock off the claw. I don't know if you can knock off the mask.
Yeah, I think it was
'cause,
just his
like,
claws.
In this one, actually, throughout the fights, the mask and claws both go flying.
Yeah. I know, like, if you beat him and you get that, like, animation screen where it showed, like, the two fighters' face, I think it would show, like, the mask got, like, cracked and stuff in that. And a side note, in the animated movie of Street Fighter 2, which I can always recommend because it's fucking great, Chun-Li kicks the shit out of his face and, like, fucks it up.
Nice.
But last but not least is Zangief, your classic pro wrestler.
Big old bear.
Basically,
Mm-hmm.
he came about like most in this game in Street Fighter 2 World Warrior. His moveset, obviously being a wrestler, is heavily it's grappling heavy. And he's a Russian pro wrestler. Go figure. Who's out to
The Volkov family.
Yep. He's their cousin. He's basically out to prove Russia's superiority over everyone else. Originally, though, he was named Vodka Gobalski.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Fucking, it was the American cheeseburger McAmerican.
Happy McMeal.
Jesus Christ.
Cheeseburger McBudweiser.
Oh. Even right off the start, though, he was planned to be a very slow character with a big power moveset, which he is. He's a big, big dude with his tiny little red tights and matching boots. And classic Zangief has his mohawk beard and the gigantic patch of chest hair that just does not go away.
Nope.
Covered in battle scars as well. So he's seen some shit.
He is freaking dangerous.
He has one of my favorite moves to see too. Is whenever he the first one I saw was him doing the spinning pile driver, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
oh, that's awesome,
so good.
It's freaking devastating if somebody has the timing down perfectly and you don't have a chance to move. It's just one grapple after the next, and then the critical art comes out and you're dead. That's never happened to me before or anything.
Yeah, no, not at all. Assholes in the arcade.
No, it's more like asshole best friend who plays Street Fighter and any other fighting game nonstop.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But yeah, I mean, beyond, since we just plowed through all the characters, let's get into some story.
Yes, let the plot thicken.
Like tomato soup.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, this game basically happens between Street Fighter 3 and 4. What I do like, this is actually this story here is basically the Shadow Falls storyline, essentially. Each character, aside from that, aside from which was the DLC that came out later on, but each character, as we mentioned earlier, does have their own individual little story, which was done by static scenes. Like, it was all when it was telling the story of like when you go through each individual character, it's all just a plain panel with the basic comic book art almost scene with some text that kept popping up. But through this one, actually, the Shadow Falls, there's actual cutscenes as well, which is kind of neat. And it starts off basically with Charlie waking up in a tomb, and he's getting instructions from a mysterious lady named Helen that he has to retrieve some item, basically a mysterious item from his old buddy Guile. And it'll help him, whatever the item is, all he knows is it'll help him destroy Bison. And while that's going on, though, the Shadowloo organization starts their secret plan called Operation Chains by launching some 7 satellites into orbit, and the satellites are actually known as the Black Moons. And basically, the plan is to spread fear and despair, which is the source of Bison's psycho power, and then siphon their energy to make all of his forces invincible.
Not unlike our current president.
No.
Shoving Cheetos into space. And actually, what they're doing too, what he wants to do is basically make an army with the psycho power, more or less. But while it's going on, Rashid infiltrates their headquarters looking for his friend, and Fang discovers him and kicks his ass, basically. Beats the living shit out of him and steals the chess piece. He was actually carrying a chess piece, and the chess piece he actually had gotten from a little child. It was a child that he had found at the outside the headquarters and gave him the chess piece. And when he was going to find his friend, his buddy's the one who got turned to dust, basically. He finds Fang, and after Fang gets it, he detonates one of the Black Moons, and it triggers a big-ass EMP above New York, shutting it down, basically.
Damn.
And yeah.
Yeah.
After that happens, though, it was actually a group. It was Bison and his little group, which was actually it's Balrog, Fang, and Vega. They're in New York, and Guile and Chun-Li try to go after him, and Chun-Li tries to get a little bit ballsy and ends up fighting Bison and getting the shit beat out of her.
No surprise there.
Yeah. While they're trying to sort of retreat, Guile sees Charlie and is he's unsure. He kind of looks at him for a while, tries to figure out where the hell he came from, because as far as he knew, he was dead.
Yeah.
They fight, and he tried taking the piece from Guile, and he ends up retreating. Then Charlie ends up retreating and reunites with Helen, and Yuri and Rashid also get there as well, and they basically form an alliance to get all the chess pieces back, and they find out that those are actually the keys to the Black Moons that were basically passed from a hacker group. Essentially got access to those, and they distributed them to a bunch of different people so that they couldn't get back into Bison's hands.
Which were sweaty.
They were quite sweaty. Karen actually ends up summoning warriors around the globe to help gather the pieces before Shadowloo gets them. Everybody answers her call except for Ryu, who stays behind at Ken's suggestion to train further to keep his Satsui no Haru at bay. Because it starts, and actually during, I want to say it's around that cutscene too, it starts to come out, and there's a neat little cutscene and fight between Nikali and Ryu, and then Dulcim actually comes in and kind of intervenes as well. As the Satsui starts actually coming out, he gets in between them. It's pretty neat. Yeah.
Okay.
They end up, and basically, as they're traveling the world trying to get the pieces, and here, Nikali, who's the ancient Aztec fighting god, pops in at various times throughout the story. Every time you end up pushing him back. And then Cammy, and actually you end up meeting Cammy, and it's a group of them. It's Cammy, I think Rashid's there. Shit, who else was there? Laura's there, and because they actually find Laura's little brother, and there's a nice little scene where Laura beats the shit out of him.
He had it coming.
When they first get together, she puts him in a headlock first for a while, and then she ends up putting him in an armbar.
Oh,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Did he tap?
Both times, real quick. She didn't let go.
That's disqualification.
Yep. And while they're all kind of getting together talking, actually, you end up seeing DiCaprio at the top of the stairs. And initially, Laura was going to go after him. Cammy kind of tells her to hold back, and you end up fighting her. You beat her, and knowing she's brainwashed, all the police come to try to take her. You actually end up fighting the police as well. And after you end up beating both the police officers, Yuri comes in on a motorcycle, and you get her out of there. So it takes you from what I've been going through with playing it kind of takes you all over the place, but it's not jarring at all, like with the splitting of different character stories. But you end up gathering having gathered all the remaining pieces and more allies. You storm Shadowloo's base, and you manage to deactivate the Black Moons. But you try to fight Bison, and he still has all of his power at this point, so he beats the shit out of you, just destroys everything, and you all retreat. And actually the young girl, Fang ends up threatening a young girl that was kidnapped and forced to create the Black Moons, and
What a jerk.
yeah, demands that she alters their course and has them fall on Earth instead, striking 6 main cities around the globe in 24 hours to cause all the havoc and still generate the psycho power that they need. Throughout the little girl actually is where earlier on, what the hell's his name? Rashid, when he fights Fang for the first time, that you actually find that little girl, and that's actually who you get the piece from. And I believe that little girl is somehow related to Laura and the other individual. Yes. They don't actually give him a name as far as I know. Ryu ends up returning from his training and defeats Nikali in combat, overcoming the Setsui no Hado and forcing him to retreat indefinitely. Ends up rejoining the rest of the group on a second attack at the Shadowloo headquarters. Rashid manages to stop the Black Moons completely, using a hint that was meant for him from his missing friend, but discovers that she was killed by Fang. Yeah, Fang fucking turned her to dust. Neat little scene though. Because she actually was running. Basically, she kept running through the warehouse, and Fang kind of was just casually skipping through it, stalking her down, and he ends up cornering her. And whenever he uses his sort of like poison, whatever the hell attacks, his hands turn purple.
Yeah.
And he kind of just like reached out, like touched her, and she just poofed. Charlie ends up confronting Bison and fails to defeat him, and this is where Charlie plays hero and ends up sacrificing himself to drain his power. And that's about where I'm at actually in story right now, roughly. And it's pretty neat because even like that cutscene is pretty cool because they're fighting and Bison kind of just, you beat up Charlie and he's kind of on the ground and Bison says about how weak he is and so forth, and Charlie ends up just getting up, reaching out, and stealing his power, well, siphoning it from him. And then Charlie ends up dying, obviously, and but at that point, Bison is weakened, and Ryu ends up destroying him once and for all. Chun-Li ends up taking the girl, and everybody evacuates the base as it collapses. The brainwashed dolls recover their senses, and Rashid receives a pre-recorded message from his friend, essentially just thanking him for helping to save the world and telling him to move on with his life. Midway through the credits, though, Helen ends up returning to her master, Gil, who declares that he'll restore order to the world and asks Helen, who's received to be Colleen, to follow him. And that's the story of Street
Dun,
Fighter
dun,
V Shadows Fall.
dun. And then they get the Tesseract.
Yep.
The brother to Laura, his name is Sean. So, yeah, I couldn't come up with that earlier, so I looked it up real quick.
But yeah,
he was oh, go ahead.
all I was gonna say is like that, like the story itself, it's really well done, and like, cause I don't really remember in like the other Street Fighters if they really did any kind of actual like story mode like that.
Not really.
It's more of just to pick a fighter and kind of play through a little bit usually.
Yeah, then they give you like a little bit of a story about the character at the end. Typically.
Yeah, see that, and that's where I really kind of, I'm hoping from here forward they kind of do more of that. You know, aside from doing the normal individual character like stories, that they actually do some kind of like story arcs, say throughout too.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty decent story that they set forth. And of course,
It
they're
was
fighting
done well.
against Bison and all of his goons, but
Yeah.
the way that they laid it out sounds pretty decent, at least.
It was actually done very well, I thought. Surprisingly, because a lot of times, you know, fighting games you don't really think of for story.
Yeah.
At least like the olden days. I mean,
Well,
nowadays it's becoming more and more prevalent with people
Yeah.
wanting more and more out of their fighting game because
true.
most of these fighting games are moving out of the arcade and into the home anyway. So you might as well put a story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
At least something. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Now, I have played this game a little bit over at my friend's house, and like the music that they have in this game is it's pretty incredible. It's like an epic rock and roll type style, and there's a few people that were credited as working on the music, and of course, this is the section I get to work on. Got Masahiro Aoki, I think. I don't know.
Got it.
Hideyuki Fukasawa, Keiki Kobayashi. Haha, I think I got that one pretty good.
Good luck with this one.
Yeah. Takatsugu Wakabayashi,
This last
and then
one's pretty
Zach Zinger. Now, like, yeah, the music is really, really well done, I feel. I always like fighting games that have, like, up-tempo and, like, rock and roll music. It kind of gets me pumped for the fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh no, I was gonna say with the last one, I think they tried like a jazzy or no, I think they went like more like dance techno type of stuff. So they'd like to mix it up with the new games.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to keep it fresh. You know, you don't want the same sound every time. Now, of course, there are voice actors. Not really any that are notable, so to speak, except for, hey, they played this character in this other fighting game. The only really mention... I mean, it just depends if you're the Japanese or English version. I mean, there are two different people that voice the characters, obviously, because they're speaking different languages, but that's about it for voice actors on this game, at least. There's only a couple of Easter eggs that looks like we're able to come up with. On the City and Chaos stage, there's a familiar face working on a truck next to the hot dog stand. If you look closely, that's Alex, who originally was from Street Fighter 3, but you know they later get introduced into this game.
Firefighter outfit next to that hot dog stand.
I haven't personally seen it, so I don't know. But that would be pretty damn funny if it was, though. Now this Easter egg I think is kind of cool, because you can alter the look of some of the costumes in the game. Which is, I believe, how you get that costume of Urian that you were talking about there, Drake. Like the OG Urian costume. But like the Capcom Pro Tour costumes for Nikali, Cammy, and Chun-Li, like in this game it's less clothing, the better. because the alternatives to those costumes is just one article of clothing is removed. But all you had to do is just hold down all three of the punch buttons, light kick, and up on the D-pad, while the screen was starting to transition after the character selection, and you just look different. And you could do that between rounds as well. Like during the
That's
loading of the
awesome.
next round, you hold those buttons and you can change the look of your costume. I don't know, to throw off your opponent and be like, "Oh, look at the new costume," and then you're beating them up, or if you just feel like changing your appearance. I don't know, but I thought it was pretty neat. There are pictures out there on the interwebs of what the differences are, and like there's swimsuit variants for the female ones, which some people get into an uproar about because you're just making females look bad. Um, but that's basically it for the Easter eggs. I mean, it's not a whole lot to work off of there. Behind the scenes a little bit. The reason why it was exclusive to PS4 was because Capcom felt Sony and themselves were on the same page and shared the same vision for how the fighting game space should grow. So that's why they decided to make it exclusive on the Sony console.
Sony
Um,
made more money.
I doubt it.
I know.
A lot of times that is what it comes down to. But in this
Yeah,
case,
but
I think it was
that's one
just
thing.
purely on the vision.
Hmm.
Um, and even though it's on a Sony console, you can still play with people who are playing on the Windows version because it does have cross-platform gameplay.
I wonder how a fighting game on PC would be.
I'd imagine most people still would use a controller, even on their PC, to play a fighting game.
You'd almost
Yeah.
have to. I'd almost say not. You
I,
shouldn't have to. But I feel like trying to play keyboard and that would be just bad.
honestly, I think you would have to because some of the moves, the inputs are like a diagonal.
Hmm.
Mm,
How the fuck are you gonna do a diagonal with just arrow keys?
up and down, or down and right.
I guess it would all depend if you like set the keys a certain way. I think you could do that. It's just
Yeah, it'd be rather
yeah.
challenging. If you really want to put yourself through the ringer, play this game on
Yeah,
PC with just your keyboard.
play it on keyboard.
It's
um,
mechanical.
but yeah, unlike other episodes, I mean that's all there really is about as far as Easter eggs and behind the scenes things. Now, DC, I know you said that you were currently playing this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently playing through it. Actually, I ended up
Nice.
picking it up last week because it was on sale. Um,
Oh,
and I haven't played really any fighting games in shit in a long ass time, and especially Street Fighter. The last time I played that was back. I think I want to say it was Street Fighter 2 back on Genesis. So far though, I mean, I've gone through the individual character story modes that I have unlocked, and I'm towards the end of the Shadow Falls story. Um, I really like it. I mean, it's definitely a lot different than I remember for Street Fighter. Um, but obviously graphically, it's looking a hell of a lot better. And like certain things, even too, like Dalsim, like with his stretchy attacks and shit, his it's incredible looking. It really is, and
yeah.
the story is done really well. I was very surprised, and what I think's neat too is all the characters that you can unlock then as well, like the ones like through the season pass or whatever the hell you want to call it. They actually have story, like couple story little chapters for them too. So they're not just additional characters to unlock. Not only do you have the additional characters to unlock, you also get a little bit of story with them as well, which I thought was kind of neat that they weren't just thrown in there for. Plus, I like that you don't actually have to buy the season pass to get all the new characters. Um,
That
it's
is a
all
plus.
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
it's all unlocked through like the in-game currency if you want to take the time. Like if you're putting that much time into it, you can unlock all of them by doing that. Most of the characters are like 70,000 or so, give or take credits. But if you played enough, you can just keep unlocking them, which I like. Or you can
Next
pay for
available character will be Sean, and in his story, he beats Laura's ass.
Ah,
them. Ah,
nice.
he's on there. He's actually putting out the ass whooping for once. Good for him.
Good for you, Sean.
Maybe. I mean, this is just hearsay and speculation, but
Um,
that would be
but what
funny if
about-
they did that, though.
I mean, I know you said you played it a little bit.
Yeah, not too much. A few times over at my buddy's house, we did have some Street Fighter V sessions. And like you said, I mean, graphically, the game is phenomenal. I really like the fidelity. The colors are great. The characters, the ones that you're used to from previous games, they act very similarly to what they did. So it's not a whole lot to get adjusted to. You know, maybe some of the frames have changed and the timing of execution is a little bit different. But for the most part, it's Street Fighter. You know, it just looks fantastic. It plays great, and I've actually been watching a lot of high-level competitors. Like I mentioned, E-League. It blows my mind how some of these people play this game. It's just they're on a completely different level. Like, how do you go from your opponent working on a perfect and you have like a sliver of life left to you then being able to turn the tables and you just don't take a hit and you end up destroying your opponent? Like, it's I don't know, it's just
Incredibly
breathtaking.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, that's about all I got on that. Not a whole lot of experience with the story. It was just versus is all I played on Street Fighter V for the most part. So
I haven't played this one. Big surprise there. But I am a Street Fighter aficionado. I like DC. I started with it on the Genesis, and I used to like sit in my room and whoop on some ass. Well, you know, my
Yeah.
parents were probably complaining about me not doing my homework. But fun story about the original Alpha and why I like have very fond thoughts of it. I basically had to beg my mom to rent a PlayStation 1 from Blockbuster Video, and she didn't know like there was like gonna be a credit card hold just in case like you know I broke it and stuff. So like she almost unwillingly got it for me, and she like kind of shot me a fucking glare that's basically said if you break this I break you. But I remember playing that one. I have really fond memories of it. I played a little bit of Street Fighter 3 in the arcades. Mostly the Versus series I've played a lot, starting with like Street Fighter versus X-Men, which was a great game as well. Last one I played was 4 for the PS3. Had a blast playing that. But I did a lot of like the training sessions stuff. Um,
Trying to
was
go MLG.
I thought I could. It was, you know, here's the weird thing about that one though. If you left your like Wi-Fi on and basically let your thing to be like an open thing and not like friends only or anything like that, I was in the middle of like a story mode or just like you know the character missions or yeah, it was just like pick a character to do a bunch of fights. In the middle of that, I got next challenger that like appeared on my screen, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" So like, you were basically put into a like an open lobby to where everybody could like just hop in like you were at an arcade. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was it was I had to turn my network off for a little bit to figure out what the hell was going on. And I was like, "Oh, okay." It was just
You
a setting,
can
but
you can turn it off on the so you can turn it off to which I have it off because I was like not a chance in
yeah, it just kind of sucks when you're in the middle of something and it just kind of was like, "Oh, new challenger." I was like, "God damn it!"
Nope, my
Oh,
internet's out.
yeah. I like put the controller down, walk out, go get a pizza. This game had fairly positive reviews. Most a lot of the negatives were well deserved, which we'll kind of get into with the reviews. But on Metacritic, it was 77 out of 100 for PS4, and then 74 out of 100 on PC. Some of the reviews, this will give us a better idea of where we're at because they're about the same kind of story here. IGN gave it an 8 out of 10. Says excellent fighting game that's missing too many features. Game Informer gave it a 7.25. Um, said the gameplay of Street Fighter V is excellent, and no matter what mode you play, the superb mechanics follow. Unfortunately, the content isn't substantial and omits several standard offerings that we've come to expect from the game. It's a shame that the structure represents so many frustrations because the gameplay itself is entertaining. I know, exhilarating stuff. This is my favorite one though. Polygon gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Street Fighter V is the skeleton of a great fighting game. fuck. I know.
Yeah, many people
Fuck
had a lot of
you.
things to say about it when it first came out.
Sales as of March 31st, 2017. Capcom announced Street Fighter V had shipped 1.6 million copies across the PS4 and PC platforms. Digital downloads included, making it 400,000 copies short from their 2 million fiscal goal. Sounds like a big number, but they had a bigger goal for it. Which, hopefully they keep a lot of the features that made this game a positive and, add a little bit more. Awards for this game, I actually had two of them. At the Video Game Award in 2016, Best Fighting Game, and then at the National Academy of Video Games Trade Reviewers, it was the 2016 Franchise Fighting Wiener. 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 Some of the problems. Oh, all right. Originally launched with no story mode at all. Which,
Oh.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know. Well, it's a fighting game, but a lot of these, like we kind of got into earlier, a lot of these fighting games come with a pretty badass story that explores the lore of the series. So, not bringing in a story mode, just saying, oh, we'll just and get in there and fight some guys, and then go on a tutorial, figure out your stuff, and then get online and fight some people. That doesn't always work for everybody.
Yeah.
Lots of connection issues while playing online games were present at early stages of launch. There's no big surprise there. It's hard to test against a server unless you can somehow somehow imagine, like, I don't know, 10,000 people on a server at once. It's very difficult task to take. Player
Yeah,
profile.
imagine how frustrating it is to only have the option to play against people online and then your connection drops out.
And you can't
frequently.
even do that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably caused me to start smoking again. This is a fun one. Player profiles just get corrupted on the PC version. Shit.
Yeah. Your fighter profile just
Oh.
yeah. Rip your
Yeah,
fighter
like-
profile.
That's sometimes a consumer killer. It probably will cause a person to delete the game and find something else, like King of Fighters or something.
Yeah.
This one update for the PC version causes a driver with the name Capcom.sys as rootkit to be installed into the system that allows applications to run arbitrary code with the kernel level permissions. On newer processors, it disables supervisor mode execution prevention. It's a processor capability that's used to prevent low privilege code, like applications. We're getting really technical here. From running instructions with higher level privileges. So that's not great. Then re-enable supervisor mode execution prevention with the application is done running kernel level code. This is done to prevent cheating. The driver does not validate what application is trying to use it, so any malware could use the execute kernel level code. Which
That sounds like fun.
yeah. So if you know of any games that are going from consoles to PCs, it's something to look forward to. Hint, hint. In May of 2016, PS4 players became aware that Street Fighter V has 8 frames of input latency, which affects play at high levels. Yeah, this
Yeah.
would fucking suck. This is a 1%er problem, but like we've said in the past, watching those 1%ers is fucking awesome. So having something like this happen to them, they would notice and they'd be really pissed.
Yeah.
And then the next month, Capcom apologized for its lack of communication surrounding issues in future updates, saying we'll be the first to admit that we can improve our communication with the community in terms of where our priorities lie around the game and status updates. That sounds like a fucking every company thing.
Sounds like a Bungie quote.
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, like a lot of these companies that try to do this shit learn it the hard way that, when you're building a community, you have to communicate. Not just communicate whenever there's an update or a DLC coming out. And communities can get rather rough. I think well, say what you will about Destiny, but I think the community softballs them a lot. There's not a lot of people. To be fair, there's not really an MLG for it either. So you have something like this though, where there's definitely people make money, like good amounts of money being a pro on
from
this
that.
game. Yeah, and they want to know the new shit coming out, and you have to communicate that. So that's really all I have for problems, and yeah,
There's some major ones, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But what game doesn't have major problems?
The game has
True.
certainly seemed to have come into its own. And
Yeah, and it's definitely
is
like
doing
fixed.
really well right now. So at least they're able to fix their mistakes, and hopefully
not
they
making
can
any
continue with
fixes.
the greatness.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, any last thoughts before we kind of start pulling next week's title?
Um,
Go
just the
watch.
fact
Yeah,
that
go
I
watch videos on this game. They're really exciting.
yeah, and I really should pick this game up because I like Street Fighter.
I think it's still on sale.
It is.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what's the sale price on that?
$20.
$20.
Yep.
Wow, that's actually really cheap.
Yeah. Or for, I want to say 40, you can get it with the all the season pass stuff too.
Hmm. Hmm. That's pretty enticing.
That's why I picked it up.
Yeah, I mean, $20 for a $60 game. I mean, you can't really go wrong.
Well, you figure too, and then or even 40 for because the season pass itself. I was looking, I think it's like $30 for the season pass. So I mean, you're getting game plus season pass for $10 more than the pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Did you
Wait,
guys
are you
have
talking about the
anything?
game, or are you having a delicious milkshake?
Delicious milkshake.
Oh, it sounds.
And you're not sharing? What the fuck?
Nah, I'm sorry.
Pour
The
it on my
interwebs wouldn't
chest.
take too kindly. Did you say pour it on my chest? Oh my god. Alright. So, should we go ahead and choose next week's topic?
Absolutely.
Alright. Ooh. We're going back to the 80s, boys.
Fuck yeah.
Well, this is the first time we'll be doing a game from the 80s.
No
Or at
shit.
least we've done
Alright.
so far as the 90s. Alright. Which game is it going to be? Lucky number 49. Tetris!
Oh shit.
Wow! Tetris. Oh, shit.
Oh man. I think we should we next week when we do this, we should come up with the Tetris fucking song intro.
Man, that gets like embedded in my brain and just will
Yeah.
not stop.
As soon as you said Tetris, it was already there.
That'll
Alright.
be a fun one.
I think that's the first game that we've all had experience with.
I think so.
What's a Tetris?
Oh. Get out.
Like, who hasn't played Tetris yet? Oh,
Hey, Dr.
baby.
Mario.
But that being said, I think that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Unless anybody's got anything else to chime in with.
No, I think that's about it.
You can find me basically on Twitter at DC Skater Shane. That's about it right now. Looking to kind of redo my channels and that, but that's the main place you can find me. Follow. There's some interesting things going on there. What about you guys? Where can someone find you?
Yeah, you can find me all over the place here on Mixer, mixer.com/Mr. Bojangles1984, at Mr. Bojangles1984 on Twitter, and also you can search for Mr. Bojangles1984 on YouTube, and you'll find me there as well.
How about you?
Drake Dangerson 1 on Twitter.
Because he's the best one.
Yeah. I am the one. Drake Dangerson on YouTube and Drake_Dangerson on Twitch. Where I'll
Look
be
for the
probably-
otter.
Yeah, look for the Jesus. Delicious. He's eating that delicious melon and he loves it.
Exactly. Look for the otter, and you'll be there. But yeah, thanks everybody for either tuning in live here on Mixer, watching on YouTube, listening on either Podbean or iTunes as well. And if you haven't, be sure to give us a follow on Twitter. Jesus Christ, subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date and just watch the video versions. And please send any feedback to GameCastContinuum@gmail.com or tweet any one of us or the main GC Continuum handle as well. 'Cause we're looking. It's been a long night. But yeah, we're looking to any feedback to make the show better for you guys. So don't hesitate. We're open to any kind of criticism, and just thanks again everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for the Tetris episode of GameCast Continuum.
Peace out, everybody.
I want some pound cake.